Oh, hey, it's Emily, and today I am going to be filming my August TBR, or To Be Read list, the books that I hope to get to in the month of August. There is a lot going on between my TBR game and the Magical Readathon. I'll link information about the Magical Readathon below. So we'll break this down how I usually do and try to get through all this as quickly as I can. I'll first talk about just a quick recap of the books I read in July and whether or not I met my TBRLand TBR last month, talk about what I'm currently reading, go into the rules, and then I'll talk about the Magical Readathon / everything else I hope to read. So in July, I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. I read All the Stars and Teeth by Adeline Grace. I read Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. I read A Song Below Water by Bethany C. Morrow. I read The Kingdom of Back by Marie Lu. I read The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. I read Gallant by V. Schwab. I read The It Girl by Ruth Ware. I read Vespertine by Margaret Rogerson. I read Upgrade by Blake Crouch, and yeah, that's what I was able to read in the month of July. Quite a good reading month, and the Fairy Loot or Book of the Month pick for my TBRLand TBR last month was Vespertine, so I did read that. I had a mood read and I put Gallant for that, so check on that. Another Fairy Loot card was A Song Below Water, which I got for Start a Series, so read that one. And then finally my fourth roll was a mood read and I put Kingdom of Back. So I actually got to all of the books that I wanted to get to for my TBRLand TBR, so feeling very accomplished. And as far as what I'm currently reading, I'm more than a third, not quite half the way through The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett, and absolutely loving it so far. So this will be, hopefully I can finish it before the end of July. I've got today and tomorrow. We'll see what can happen. So that might be done by the end of July, but that is what I'm currently reading, so it might bleed into August just a little bit. So let's go ahead and get into the rolls. And roll 1. Got a 2. And that is a Fairy Loot card. So the first roll was a Fairy Loot card, and I once again have a selection of cards that have a little prompt on each of them, so I'll just give these just a quick rough shuffle and go ahead and pick one out, and let's pick this one. Let's see if you can, Environment Book. Okay, that's actually perfect. So one of the things that I really need to read in August is All We Can Save, Truth, Courage, and Solutions for the Climate Crisis. This is a collection of essays, poems, all pertaining to climate change, and I have started a meetup group for an environmental book club here in the DC area, and so yeah, this is going to be our first pick. I was trying to find a book club that focused on environmental reads and couldn't find one, so decided to start one, and this is what I put as our first read. And I actually picked this one up in San Francisco at, is it City Lights Books? So that can be the first TBRLand pick. And roll 2. Got a 4. That is a global read. So the second roll was global, and this is perfect because I have just started but still need to get through most of The Elimination by Rithi Pan. This was actually on my last, or mentioned in my last TBR video as well, but I want to go ahead and put this on as a let's finish this in the month of August. Kim is on the same page. This is the final book that we're doing for Cambodia for our Read Around the World project. I'll link more information below. So we want to finish this up and then pick a new country, so we'll provide more details about that once we can. And this is a nonfiction memoir of sorts of someone who kind of was in Cambodia during the time the Khmer Rouge took over, and he's actually confronting someone who was a key part of that and talking to them about those events. So my understanding is that kind of weaves his personal story along with talking to someone who was on the other side at that time. So I think it should be, it'll probably be intense, emotional, probably something I'll only be able to read so much of at one time, but hopefully informative, interesting, and just enlightening about that time period. So excited to read, and this will be the second pick for TBRLand. On to the third one. And roll 3. And we've got a 16. And that is another Fairy Loot card. So the third one was another Fairy Loot card. I'll just do another quick little shuffle here and pick another one. Let's do this one. And it is a romance or contemporary, which works well because I do need to put A City of Fallen Angels onto the TBR. This is the 4th book in the Mortal Instruments series for the Bookstara Read Along. Again, information below. We've been reading this series every other month for most of this year, so got to put the 4th one on. And this follows Clary as she just kind of gets drawn into the world of shadow hunters, and it's been angsty, very 2010s YA, but entertaining nonetheless, and I'm very excited to get to the 4th one. So this will be the 3rd TBRLand pick. And on to the 4th roll. And roll 4. Got 12. And that would be mood read. So the 4th roll is a mood read, which we love. So I hope I'll be able to get access to this audiobook in the month of August. So this is a little bit of a dice roll because I really would love to listen to the audiobook as well. And I am on hold for it. Should come available relatively soon, so I'm hopeful. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Her Majesty's Royal Coven by Juno Dawson. I'm just so stoked for this one. And I don't know too much, but this basically follows Her Majesty's Royal Coven, which is a group of witches that basically are in service of Her Majesty the Queen. And you know, I think this will delve into the history of that and stuff that's going on in the current day with a prophecy that has to do with this coven. Not entirely sure, but just the vibes and the things that I've been hearing make me think it'll be right up my alley, and I am just so stoked to get to this. So this is going to be my mood read for the 4th pick for TBRLand. So let's get to everything else that I want to get to, which mostly includes stuff for the Magical Readathon. Now I am once again being indecisive, so I just picked a bunch of things for the first round and set myself up to be able to do a bunch of potential careers later on in this round. And there are so many careers that sound interesting and so many just combinations that could make super interesting TBRs. And I've been staring at, I have a sheet that has a collection of just careers or callings that I could be interested in and the prompts that go with them. And I've been staring at this for a while, and I can't make a decision. So there's just a bunch that could be really interesting. And so I'll just kind of give a quick breakdown. Again, I'll be linking more information below about the readathon, so I'm not going to go into any detail here. But one potential career could be a healer, and that involves getting an Owen Elemental, which is start a book with a drink. And my interpretation of this one was that you just have a drink while starting and drink that while starting a book. And I think one perfect thing that I could do for this prompt is read one of the audiobooks that I have on hold from the library coming up. Actually, it's already on hold. Actually, I already have access to it, is A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, and this has a tea mug in it, so I think it would be super fun to drink some tea while reading this one. Also on that list is Alchemy, and the O level for that is a book that's on someone's worst list. And I am quite sure that the Mortal Instruments series is probably on someone's worst list. I haven't specifically looked, so maybe this could change, but the best bet that I have is that this has been on someone's worst list at some point in the past years, probably someone that I follow. We'll just go with it. We can kind of stretch it, right? I can imagine, since this is something that you're either going to be in the mood for or enjoy, or really, really not, I imagine it's on plenty of people's worst list, so we'll just go with that one. The next prompt for that one is the Q level in Alchemy for an orange book, which I could do a couple of things. One, the unspoken name. It's got, you know, some orange bits in there on the cover, or I could do All We Can Save, which is more of a yellowy orange. So I've already talked about that one. I don't know too much about this one. I'm pretty sure it follows someone who is fated to die, but then they're given an offer to become someone's, like, thief or protector. What is it? Thief, spy, assassin. And so I've just heard super interesting things about this one. So, but I don't know too much. But that could be something for orange on the cover. Single object on the cover could be this, or could also be a Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, with just the crow kind of dominating the cover. And this is the first book in the Six of Crows duology in the Grishaverse that follows a group of 6 people who are on a heist. So super fun. Next one is, and that's for O in Restoration. For Q in Restoration, the prompt for that next one is a TBR vet, which could be The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I actually just got this audiobook from the library, and this one's been, although it hasn't been on my physical TBR that long, it has been super high on my want to read list for a long time, so we could put that one in that spot. And then something that I could read in 1 or 2 sittings could be either Prayer for the Crown Shy or another volume of Saga. And this one follows 2 people who are from opposite sides of a war. They fall in love. The story is told from the perspective of their child, looking back on their or childhood as their parents were being hunted by people from both sides and trying to hunt them down for falling in love with the wrong person and having a child. Anyway, so that could be an option, a TBR list for the healer calling. If I want to do Songweaver, I could do Recollection, read a childhood favorite. And I'm going to stretch this. I don't want to reread a book right now, but I could put City of Fallen Angels. Maybe this is a series I could have loved as a kid as well and had a lot of fun with. And so I'm going to stretch it and say this could have been a childhood favorite and read that one. The next one is an O in Psionics and Divination. And it deals with something featuring time travel, which again I could stretch and have something with a couple of different timelines that you're going back and forth between, which is like kind of you as a reader traveling in time, so to speak. And this has a couple of different timelines, I believe. I believe you actually you know, Evelyn is recounting her life story through talking about her 7 husbands. So I believe you're following present day, but I think you actually kind of, it feels like you're going back in time as she's talking about her past. We'll stretch it, okay? We'll stretch it a little bit. Next one for a Q in Psionics and Divination would be the same word as something in the title that you just read. So if I had just read The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, I could stretch it and do The Unspoken Name. That's about as close as I could get for this one. Another one is to do some of the prompts for lore. So an O for lore would be something that has the colors of your country's flag, which is really hard to do. I could reread red, white, and royal blue, which, although the cover is pink, which is not on my country's flag, it does say red, white, and royal blue, which would be kind of fun. But this is the closest I could find. So it kind of has some red in this area, like with the cloak, white for the lettering and some of the stars, and then blue up in here. So red, white, and blue are my country's flag colors. So like honestly, that was pretty much the closest that I could find with stuff that I needed to try to get on this TBR. So the next one for lore, Q in lore, could be the prompt was something featuring betrayal, and a couple of interesting options. Actually, I think my main option could be Twin Crowns. This is something I'm super excited to get to. This is by Catherine Weber and follows two princesses, one who's been raised to take over the crown. I think they've been separated. One is has lived a completely different life, but at some point later they've come back together and they're now in some way competing for the crown. The title, or on the cover, it says one throne, two princesses. I figure there's got to be betrayal somewhere in there, right? So I'm not 100% sure since I haven't read it, but I feel like there's got to be betrayal in there somewhere. So that could count. And then the final prompt for lore is something with a desert setting. So it could be a perfect opportunity to put Dune Messiah back on my TBR and see if I'm in the mood for this. This follows the happenings of the Atreides family as they kind of take over running some things on the planet Dune, which is a desert planet that also has a spice that can only be found there. It's an incredibly important spice, and they get embroiled in a bunch of politics, and super interesting. So that could be an opportunity to put the next one on my TBR. So that could be Story Weaver if I want to go that route. If I want to go Beastmaster, that also has the elemental prompt for having a drink while starting a book. So I could definitely do a prayer for the crown shy for that one. Next one is animal studies, going through all of the prompts for animal studies, including featuring an animal companion. Oh, I meant to grab it, but I could continue on with the Realm of the Elderling and put the first book in the third trilogy, which also follows Fitz, who has an animal companion. And in that story, he is left on the doorstep of the kind of the royals, and his father, he's a bastard child of the prince in waiting, who abdicates when our main character Fitz is dropped off at the palace. And so he's kind of there. He's raised by the stable master, and the king decides that he could be a good assassin for the crown. So super fun. It's a huge expansive world, so that's the basics of it. Next one is a raven on the cover, and that could include 6 of crows. So yes, I know a crow and raven are two different birds, but one, they look very similar, and also in the suggestions and ideas for each prompt video, which I'll link below, G specifically said that this could count for this prompt, and so even mentioned this one by name. So we're gonna go with it. Next one is rabbit on the cover, and I don't think I have one on my physical TBR with a rabbit on the cover, so we can just go with another book with some sort of animal on the cover, like this one, Her Majesty's Royal Coven. We'll just pretend, okay? She said we could stretch the prompts as needed to make them fit the TBR that we want, so that could do that one. Next prompt for that one could be an O in alchemy on someone's worst list, which I mentioned for this one. O in restoration objects, or one focus for something on the cover, which again could be that, or even Evelyn Hugo, because it's just Evelyn on the cover of that one. Another one, the final prompt for Beastmaster would be TBR Vet, which is Q in restoration, which actually could be this one. So the final one, just one more to talk through of what it could be, and that is Scribe. So elemental, book, and a drink. So prayer for the crown shy, childhood favorite. So all of the inscription ones. So childhood favorite is the first prompt for that, which we could do that one. A graphic novel, which could be the next one in the saga series. Cozy read could also be prayer for the crown shy, because that is the definition of a cozy read for me. And then it goes into O in restoration, which again is one object as the focus of the cover, which could be the unspoken name, could also be Six of Crows. There are some of these that have one main focus on the cover. And then it's an O and a Q in lore, so country's flag colors comes up again in that one, which I've got that one, and then something featuring betrayal is the Q in restoration, or Q in lore, which I had that one. So I've got so many options. Honestly, it's a little, like, I'm just being so indecisive, and I put off filming this video because I was being so indecisive, and then I was like, you know what, we'll just once again give myself a bunch of options, and maybe I'll just be one of those crazy academics who studies multiple career tracks and is just a badass, you know? We'll see what happens. So keep tabs on my vlogs for August if you want to follow along with what I actually end up reading, and you know, we'll make it work. Maybe I'll eventually decide one, or maybe I'll just have multiple specialties. We'll see. So that will conclude. I think actually there's only one more thing I want to mention, and that is that The City of Dusk is also something I've been wanting to read. It's been on multiple TBRs, something I want to read, that I've been meaning to get to, and I really would love to get to this in the month of August, but we shall see. But that was just another one that I just had in a pile on the floor nearby, so I wanted to mention it. I'm also moving in with my boyfriend in the month of August, so, and work is crazy, so it's just going to be a busy month, a very audio heavy month, I'm sure, as the most recent months have all been for me, but I will definitely need audiobooks to get me through the packing process and unpacking. Anyway, so we'll see what happens in the month of August. Hopefully I can get to at least a good chunk of what I've mentioned. And yeah, as I said, subscribe for more bookish content and to get the vlogs that I'll be putting up to talk about the books that I end up reading in the month of August. I will also leave my Twitter and Instagram, as well as everything I mentioned, linked down below. I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.